Okay, so the next thing we do is build our circle circuits. We need our canister, we need our parallel pipes, and it doesn't matter which end of them you connect to the canister. We need to make this into a single connector at the far end, so we use our Y connector. We need to connect a reservoir bag, so again we have our connector, and for the patient we have today we're going to use a 2 litre bag. So we check 2 litre reservoir bag, and connect up, and we need to put it onto the machine. Okay, so we're going to connect our canister at the back to the oxygen supply on the machine and push it on so it's nice and secure, otherwise it will slip around on you, and rest our pipes across it. Right, so I'm going to do the machine checks next. So the first thing we want to do is damp dust the entire machine, and we're paying special attention to the wheels to make sure they're clean. The next thing we want to do is make sure our cylinder is secure, that it's not going to fall off the machine. We make sure our oxygen is connected here, and we make sure we have no leak of oxygen when the machine is switched off. So we open our flow meter, the bubble shouldn't move, so this proves that there's no leak when the machine is turned off. We make sure our pipes are all secure, so we do the tug test, and then we're happy that everything's safe, so we're going to turn our oxygen on. If you forget which way it turns on, it says on the side of the cylinder. So we check our pressure gauge, so we check how much oxygen is actually in the machine, and then we need to prepare a label for that. The label consists of the date, my initials, the amount that's in it, so it's half full and it's in use. We place that onto our cylinder where everyone can see it. Okay, so we check the function of all the different pieces of the machine. So the first thing we're going to do is turn our flow meter up, and we make sure the bubble stays where we want it to stay, and make sure we can control it up and down. We're going to check the emergency flush, which is the red button. When I press the red button, a blast of oxygen is delivered to the patient, and we'll expect the bubble to dip, rise, and then go back exactly where it was before it started. Okay, so you can see it again, watch it go down, up, and then back to where we originally set it at 5 litres. The next thing we're going to do is check for oxygen failure. So if oxygen is failing to get to our patient, we want to make sure that we realise that, so we turn our cylinder off. The gauge starts to drop. You need to give it a few minutes. So your gauge drops back to 0, and then your bubble will drop back to 0. And in a new machine there will be an alarm, so an alarm will sound at this stage, and we know that our patient isn't getting any oxygen. So that works fine. We'll turn our oxygen back on and ready for use. We turn our attention now to the vaporizer, so we make sure that the dial moves freely and stays where we want to stay. We check the contents of the vaporizer, so we need contents to between the 2 lines, and in your OSCE you should state that it's not full and that you would fill it. Then we check for leaks, so we check all the connectors, make sure everything's tight, and we waft to see if there are any smells. Okay, and the last thing we're going to do now is weigh our fluorosorb. Okay, so our fluorosorb is reading 1.4 kilos, which is maximum weight, as you can see on the side. So ideally in practice you would change this, and you need to state this in your OSCE. And we need to prepare a label for that. Okay, on this label, again we need the date, we need our initials, we need the weight, and we'll just tell people that it needs to be changed, and we'll stick it clearly on the fluorosorb. We need now to attach our scavenging system to our circuit. The last thing we want to do now is check the function of our breathing system, so we're going to leak test it. In order to leak test it, we need to close off 2 ends, so we close our APL valve, we close our patient end, allow to fill up with oxygen, press, and there's no leaks in the bag as it holds up its pressure, so we're happy. Then we half open our APL valve again, and at this stage we can connect up our patient. And we make sure our oxygen is set at 5 litres, so the line of 5 litres has to be exactly in the middle of your bubble. Okay, and that's it.